Hello and welcome back to another episode of the MindSets podcast. Are we going to say it again? Episode 95.
We're getting through it.
We are getting through it. Okay. Guys, this episode comes off the back of another podcast, Untapped Podcast with Spencer Matthews, where he was joined by Eivind Vold, who is a kayaker. This whole reel, the whole podcast has gone viral.
Sure.
And we thought it's only justified that we go in and we do a better job of the podcast because it wasn't that well run through or prepared. And I think there's a lot more for us to talk about on it. So Eivind, if you're listening to this, please do come join us. We're also in London and we've got questions, basically. Should we do a bit of an overview?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, so first of all, for context, the Untapped podcast has got this untapped athlete,
Sure.
formerly called Apex athlete, but they can't do that with
We've
anymore.
We've discussed a few times, haven't we?
Exactly.
Yeah, it comes
So
up.
this whole thing has been looking for athletes or people that can bench 110 kilograms for 10 reps
Yeah.
and run a marathon in sub 2 hours and 50 minutes. Both incredible feats,
Yeah.
let alone together.
Yeah.
Originally, the claim was that there would be less than 10 people on the planet. I think it's now less than 50. And this guy, Eivind Vold, is a kayaker who has come in and said, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone I know in kayaking can do it.
Yeah.
He himself, in the last year, has benched 162.5 kilograms.
Mental.
Insane. Just to clarify that he can also do the rep volume. He said when the podcast came out that the week prior, he had benched 130 kilograms for 10 or 11 reps.
Yeah.
So 110, no problem.
Capacity's no issue.
Exactly. He's also run a marathon, which was Valencia, 2 hours and 39 minutes, which was a few weeks after his first ever marathon, which was New York, which he did for charity and ran 2:44.
And bearing in mind the guy's not a runner.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he starts the podcast by saying, I'm not a runner and I'm not a strength athlete. Like I do kayak.
Exactly.
And these are just, there's like byproducts basically of the training that I'm doing, which is incredible.
And for context, his bloodline is both good and bad.
Yeah.
To that. So his older brother has the record for the Norseman, which is the hardest Ironman in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's done in like sub-zero conditions, essentially.
Basically over a mountain range.
Exactly. And to actually start it off, you jump
Off a ferry, yeah.
into the sea.
It's incredible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's got the record for that. That's his older brother. His younger brother is actually a better kayaker than him in that he's had more success. However, where we said that the bloodline is a bit crazy is because both Eivind and his younger brother John have both had cancer. And what we're talking about in their feats of endurance that we've just mentioned in like the 2:39 marathon and the 162.5 kilogram bench press are since cancer. So like it's wild. And also like that marathon happened within, I think it was 6 or 9 months of him finishing chemotherapy. So as an athlete,
Mind-boggling.
crazy. Yeah. Now you can probably tell by the name as well. They are Nordic, so they're from Norway, which means that actually their background is not far off what we've spoken about, albeit a different discipline, which is Norwegian training.
Yeah.
Norwegian threshold training.
Yeah.
And the same thing creeps up, and now you're starting to really see, actually, it's producing freaks all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not just Jakob Ingebrigtsen
and
so on. So that is what we're going to be going through in today's episode. I'm really looking forward to diving into it a little bit more because I feel like there was a lot missed out, and we've gone away and done some research. And
That's just given me an idea of if you looked at the countries and the athletes that they produce, who's got the all-round most balanced or best athletes in terms of like, if again, we always talk about taking the best athletes that we can think of and almost simulate against each other who would be the best. But which countries produce, because Norway, they've got a star-studded lineup. You take kayakers, you take triathletes, you take middle distance runners.
this was a point that
Cross-country
said
skiers.
in the podcast. He said, well, in actual fact, Norway's always been really good at sport.
Yeah.
But the Winter Olympics is allowing us to actually shed some light on our ability because like so much of our sport is that we do from a young age is winter based.
But also, like, I say this all the time because whenever people think about the best distance runners, they go East Africa typically, or some country in Africa. And yeah, I mean, over the last, let's say 10, 15 years, that's probably the case. But you look into the history books a bit further and the long distance disciplines are always dominated by Scandinavians, which is really interesting. So that might be something to look at in the future.
So we are going to talk about the distance in which Eivind, his younger brother John, actually kayak, because that's worth talking about. But before we do that, we're going to do what we always do on this podcast. If you're new here, we do a 2-minute news segment, which is going to be a bit of a challenge because at the moment with things like the World Cup, there's so much going on. But we'll do our absolute best to get through it quickly so you can get straight back to the topic.
I'm on timer.
You're on the time. Is that a new watch?
Let's talk about it later.
Okay, cool. Right, in which case I am ready.
You're right. 3, 2, 1.
In last week's episode, I said that England were going to beat Ghana. It wasn't even worth talking about. We didn't. We tied 0-0. Then England played Panama on Saturday and won 2-0. Way better. And England won the group, and they are due to play the Democratic Republic of Congo from recording tomorrow, Wednesday of the week that this episode comes out.
Well, they'll be listening to the podcast, not watching the football.
Of course. So that's the round of 32. And hopefully we go on and win that, but I'm not going to make any bets anymore. Interesting things that have also happened in the World Cup in the last week. Morocco beat the Netherlands in the round of 32, and Paraguay beat Germany on penalties in the round of 32. That's also the first time ever Germany has lost to penalties in the World Cup since it's been going.
Yeah, crazy.
Over to you.
Emma Raducanu, unfortunately, off the back of some good tournaments and some good results, has to pull out of Wimbledon, which is kind of sad. I don't know if you saw Yannick Sinner, the clip of him. He I don't know what happened, but he fell really badly, and then there was a shot of his shoe, and it his bit bled through his shoe, and but I think he's okay. Ben Stokes, shock announcement from international cricket, he's retiring, so we'll see how that goes. And then
done. He's still going back to Durham though.
Is he? Yeah. So I think after the tour with against New Zealand, and then. In the top 14, the French rugby, Toulouse have beaten Montpellier in the playoff finals, and that means that Toulouse have won 4 consecutive top 14. It's very, very strong team.
The only other interesting fact that I have about the World Cup before we move swiftly on is that the USA is the first country. In fact, do you know what? This is probably the most interesting fact about a World Cup ever. The USA is the first country to host a team at a World Cup and bomb them at the same time. Moving on, Russell, Verstappen, Kimi was the podium for Formula One.
Yep.
So it was a bit of a strat fail this week for Hamilton, who was actually started off pretty nicely. Which strat fail is kind of Ferrari's thing. But interestingly though, Leclerc is just not there at the moment. A lot of questions being asked over him, and McLaren are just nowhere to be seen. As a result of the top 4 teams still being the top 4 teams, have you heard about F1.5?
No.
F1.5 is a new game. It's very, very interesting. If you remove the top 4 teams from Formula One and you distribute the point system as usual to the rest of the teams, the points table's really close.
Oh, yeah.
And they have a really good back and forth. So in that, the driver that comes first would get 20 points, fastest lap, everything like that. And it moves around a lot. And
it's more exciting.
It's way more
exciting.
And that's the news.
All right. 2:43. That's actually not that bad. 2:43 is good for us, I think.
Guys, if you're impressed by that, leave a like, leave a 5-star review, whatever.
We're 2 minutes news and we're 43 seconds over.
Yeah.
And we're impressed with that.
The kayakers could probably run a half marathon in that time.
Exactly.
So anyway, we're back to the topic. Now we're going to do a bit of a job of talking about both brothers, because not only are they both incredibly athletic, Eivind, we've already mentioned his numbers. He says that he's better on bench press than his younger brother, but his younger brother is a far better kayaker. However, they also have competed together in the same kayak. So it's worth talking about that. Now, I also left it on a really small cliff of a cliffhanger, saying that we were going to talk about the distance they row, because...
Oh, it's a small cliff.
It's a small... Yeah. So marathon kayaking is what they're actually known for. But before I went away and did some research, thought that marathon kayaking meant marathon, 42.195 kilometers. It doesn't. Most competitions are between 26 and 30 kilometer race distances. Obviously, still a really long way.
Marathon, i.e., it's a long way.
Yeah.
Rather than the specific distance.
What was interesting in the podcast, in the Untapped podcast, Eivind said that he'd probably done at some point a kilometer kayak in 3:20. So the running bases are actually not far off. We do a lot of our work at 4 minutes per kilometer. So it is still somewhat comparable to running paces, which is crazy when you're considering the power required from your upper body and your arms to do that.
But I was surprised because, again, I was fairly ignorant to the distances that they were doing in kayak, because I thought kayak was short, sprints. And then he's referencing anywhere up to 30k. but they're doing like 5K kayak, which is just but like you say, similar times to what you'd imagine someone aiming to like run 20 minutes in a 5K is probably similar to what they're kayaking 5K in. But he was quite versatile and he had a good range. He was quite fast over shorter distances, but then had the endurance, and I think that's what really made him stand out. But on the podcast, he's like so blasé and like humble about he's like, I have a few world medals, like that, or like, oh, they're all bronzes. What are you talking about? You're like one of the 3 best in the world. That's sick.
The other thing as well with that we should mention is that kayaking, and when I thought kayaking, I obviously think of the one that you see when you go on holiday, or like you see at a water park place in the UK, which is like one of the small ones. They're quite nimble. That is a kayak. It's just not like a racing kayak. Kayak and a canoe are very similar. As what you're doing to move it along is usually different. So think of this more as a canoe, if that's how you want to perceive it. But in Eivind's career, the 2 main things that are worth mentioning is that 2022 in the World Championships in the K2, which means 2 people aboard the boat, in the marathon they got bronze, and that was with his brother John. And then he's also got bronze in the European Marathon Championships off his own back. But he's won multiple Norwegian titles. In other things that he has done, he's done the 115 kilometer Skagerrak, I don't know if I'm saying that right, crossing, which is between Denmark and Norway, and that was just before he went into chemotherapy, so when he had cancer. His younger brother, in his younger brother's career, has done 2022 World Champions, like we said, the K2 Marathon bronze. He's won the 2025 World Cup, the K1 5,000 meters. He won the 2025 European Marathon Championships, and then this year, which was actually 3 weeks ago from recording, June 8th, I think it was.
Wow.
He kayaked, paddled, actually. Sorry. He paddled to a silver in the 2026 European Marathon Championship. So considering what we mentioned about both of them have had cancer recently, and in actual fact, John Amund, so the younger brother, it was really bad for him. So he got to bone marrow transplant time, which is like really rough. Not only as like, that's how bad it has gone, because it's basically a body reset, but it really
well, I think because they both had leukemia, if I'm correct in saying, and anyone who's had any sort of experience with a family member or a friend or someone that they know who's had experience with leukemia, it is truly one of the most debilitating things. And when you see someone, if you're unfortunate enough to see someone in that position, you go, no way are they getting in a kayak.
Yeah.
It's so that like it puts it more into perspective to be able to go, and then they're going and winning major championships and European championships, and they're getting medals, and it's honestly fascinating. But what I wanted to say off the back of that, and I'm sure we'll have time to talk about it, but one of our very first episodes that we co-hosted together, we spoke about Lance Armstrong. I don't know if we specifically spoke about his training, but we referenced him when we used to have the topics between, we'd do the physical and then a mental. And we put him in, I think, in the mental because we wanted to discuss how the impact of dealing with cancer and recovering from cancer being such an incredibly challenging thing to do, how that then makes you more mentally strong or mentally resilient for when you actually train. And does that play a part in how you, because they hop in a kayak now and they go, oh, it's a bit of lactic. And it's like, oh, this is kind of difficult. My shoulders burn. I'm tired, but I've fought and overcome cancer. Like, it must play a part.
Yeah. And I think it also played a part in probably how they thought about the cancer. So when John was diagnosed, again, going back to this other podcast, Eivind said that because it was so bad, he was immensely like concerned, and that tied a lot of the family stress and worry and everything like that, because he was also so young. I mean, I think John now is 27, 28. So
yeah, he was like 26 or something. Yeah.
Whereas Eivind's a little bit older, but apparently when he got cancer and he found out, obviously not ideal news, but because he knew it was caught early and it wasn't at the severity that John had, like it wasn't a major deal.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that someone being told they have cancer and not see it as a major deal is someone that has either gone through it before, which he hadn't done, but is also just mentally ridiculously resilient. Anyway.
Yeah.
And in another part where they're talking about their training, more specifically doing like sprint work in paddle and doing their like acceleration off the line stuff, he was like, yeah, we actually do like a lot of lactate work, but we probably work to a level which is like not fun, but most of the population in Norway who don't represent the rest of the world, are still like relatively average people, just wouldn't be able to get to. Like,
yeah, because he referenced the level of blood lactate to 20 millimole or something, and he said most people wouldn't be able to. I don't know if it was like the way he said it, but he was like they wouldn't be able to stand. But like 20 millimole is like insane, and also if that was a sprint, fair enough. But it's the first minute of a 5 kilometer effort. So the first minute of 20 minutes. And you're dealing with that and your body's having to process the byproduct of the output. And that's incredible to then go, because at that point, it's just being mentally, have the ability mentally to tolerate the discomfort, which, yeah, fair play, hands up. Like I wouldn't want to be doing that.
Now, one of the things that both brothers, but more so Eivind now, not just off the podcast, but because of his own like social media direction, has gone is like this whole like hybrid training. And obviously the original reason that he has stepped into the limelight, especially in the UK, is this bench and this marathon feat. Now, that doesn't come randomly, especially when both of his brothers are in a similar level in the sort of hybrid domain, but it comes from years and years and years of aerobic training. And there's a particular phrase that you wanted to talk about, which is
systemic aerobic fitness or whatever. Yeah.
So kayaking as a sport uses pretty much the whole body. And it is a pull exercise. It's a push exercise. You're using all elements of your core, all elements of your legs for drive. And it's not just how you would look at someone doing a row and think, it's mostly back. For rowing, it's not at all just your back. There's quite a lot of your body, but with kayak you have the twisting motion as well. So they're incredibly highly trained, but they don't just kayak. And one of the things that Eivind says is huge is obviously Nordic skiing. And it's a thing that's relatively accessible, but the reason why he was able to perform as well as he did in the marathon wasn't actually anything to do with the amount of running volume he did. It was because of the amount of muscular and aerobic endurance he had developed through lower load movement, which we've come back to loads of times. A lot of people will rely on the bike and things like that. Some people will use the ski erg, and he even referenced like he will use the ski erg sometimes, but nothing is comparable to him to Nordic skiing for the ability for your body to be able to tolerate it, the length of time you can do it, and the reward benefit you get in the aerobic training. Which is just, I've never even tried it. I can see that it looks like it sucks because it looks super technical, also kind of boring. But just, I can imagine if it's that accessible.
Oh, I want to try it so bad. I want to be roller skiing around Battersea Park so bad. And I've been saying that for years now and everyone's laughed at me. But imagine how much
I don't think I'd be doing around Battersea.
No, for sure you would. And we'd look sick.
We could start a MindSets ski club.
Next episode, we're going to do the Norwegian guy who I can't pronounce his name, but he's like the greatest Norwegian, Nordic skier of all time. We'll do a podcast about him because I reckon his training is like, it's probably just...
You're saying next time, but we've got like a queue of athletes waiting to be podcasted.
And then every time we go, what are we doing the episode on? We've forgotten the whole list.
Well, with this one, we're doing a double episode.
Two people.
Just convenient that they both do the same thing and they're both related. The other thing that Eivind says that he would do a lot is actually some of the rowing. And what was really interesting in this is that, again, just to put in perspective how athletic his brother is, one evening his brother decided to hop on a ski erg and just do a marathon ski. But the marathon ski that he did was faster than the marathon ski world record, which is now gone, but it stood for a while. He didn't mention what the split time was there, but he could also hop on and match, if not better, the 5,000 meter ski. And it's like, these are crazy different distances that they are already preconditioned for because of their bias in their kayak training and this sort of thing. But just the sheer amount of volume over years and years and years of training. And I think that's the reason that we're now starting to see a lot of specifically Norwegian or Nordically trained athletes actually having a far more long career. I hate the idea of saying far more long. Having a far longer career at a certain level, because actually all of this is compounding right into the late 30s and early 40s to the point where like there's actually no drop off, as it were. So it's pretty wild. It's a shame Eivind says that he's now got a full-time job, so he can't really keep up with the volume, but he has decided he's past his prime, which is a pretty tough thing that none of us ever want to say. But he's come to that conclusion because he just doesn't feel like he would be able to get in a boat and do any justice on what he used to be able to do. I'm sure if he gave himself some time, he wouldn't actually be far off from getting back to it. But maybe he's also decided that he doesn't really want to do it because the amount of volume you have to do.
Yeah.
We're still talking 18 to 22 hour weeks, but sometimes he even said triple or even quadruple days of training.
I don't want to assume either. I don't know what the money's like in kayak, but you can't imagine there's like, if he's had to go, like he's at that level and then he's like, well, actually I need a full-time job.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's more factors to it. I'm going to go in true MindSets fashion down a completely massive rabbit hole. But it's story time, and you reminded me based off the ski erg marathon world record. But I did Surf Games on the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Surf Games engine. Don't worry about it, guys.
Quite well.
The guy who won, he was in my heat. He was also called Charles. Great name. He sets off and he runs pretty fast, but he's not like crazy fast. But he went and I was like, look, I'll let him do his thing. I know what the workout is. I'll reel him in. Get to the ski erg. I can't see his monitor, but he's on the ski next to me and it's a 1.25k ski. And I'm like, I'm pretty good on the ski. He's gone out pretty hot. I back myself. He gets off. I've still got 250 meters to go. I'm like, he's started hard. So I finish, I'm second in the heat, and then I try and run my second run harder than I wanted to, just to get back on his heels to apply some pressure. He gets back on the ski. Same thing happens, but this time he's now 300 meters in front of me. I'm like, no, something's not right here. Either I'm going way slower than I should be, because I had a game plan. After the next run, because I tried to catch him up as much as I could. After the next run, it was C2 bike. And I'm on the bike next to him, and it's just a little bit more chilled at that point. I can see he's going faster than me still, but I have time to catch my breath and talk to him. And I go, is there any chance you've gone too hot? And he stared at me and he went, nah, mate, I'm in shape. I was like,
that's savage.
I was like, oh okay. We run across, or he runs across the finish line. I run across the finish line 3 minutes later. We're lying there, and he goes, yeah, I've got the British record on the ski erg for 6K. And
road distance.
So my first thought process was, okay, fair enough, you've beaten me then if you've got the British record or the world record, whatever it was. And then I was like, have you just made that record up so you can get a record? But I found him on Instagram, obviously, and I think he had some previous row records as well. He's got all the ergs in his garage, and just like, he's a badger for the ergs. But like, fair play, the guy was unbelievably hard.
Split was for that 6K record.
Yeah, one. Oh no, it's literally.
You got to know the.
Oh no! He did the 6K in just over 20 minutes.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I think it was like that must be 140.
Yeah.
Point something. Don't quote me on that, but that's quick. Fair play. Yeah. Big guy.
Wow. I mean, deviation, but nice.
Yeah,
put us in perspective. Like these guys would just tear it apart.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy impressive.
Oh, these guys are winning Turf Games engine.
Oh, these guys are doing that as a training set.
Yeah.
And interestingly, on their threshold training, what does it look like for a kayaker? Tempo paddles. It sounds a lot like running, you know. Tempo paddles, long intervals, race-based efforts, and then lactate control training. And so when we spoke before, if you haven't listened to this, go back to the Kristen Blumenfeld episode. We spoke a lot about how threshold training actually works. It doesn't mean that you murder yourself all the time. It means that you're just doing it specifically based on your lactate zones and also perceived effort zones.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just stay within a range that allows you to nail the next session. And that's how you finish your last session, which is just smart. Go like, if you're listening to this, you probably don't do that. Next thing is strength training. So their strength training stuff is really interesting because it's not like powerlifting. I don't know why I said it in that.
Powerlifting.
It's not like powerlifting in that you basically pull as hard as you can, sit down for 5 minutes, do it again over a very specific movements like deadlift, bench, and squat. They are part of it, but they do this with most of their movements. And another fun fact about Eivind's younger brother, John Amund, was that he can do pull-ups apparently with 100 kilos between his legs.
No.
Can you imagine?
Well, the guy must be huge already.
You look at a picture of them, they're big.
Yeah.
Big guys, and Eivind is like 6'6". I imagine his brother's the same. They're big guys, but they don't look like huge guys.
But if you're that tall, you can speak from experience. Like, you're not light.
No.
So it's like adding then 100 kg on top of that.
The worst thing for me in like when I'm doing a movement,
Long levers,
but also like the range that you have to go through to complete your act. Like pull-ups, I'm gonna expose myself here right now. If I can do 5 to 6 with a 10 kilo plate, good set.
Yeah.
Good set. Don't give me another 9 of those plates.
No.
Because I'm not moving anyway. I don't even know if I can hold on.
But that's the main issue. Yeah, that's incredible.
So then you'll be doing things, pull-ups, bench press, heavy rows, squats, deadlifts, rotational core work is massive. A lot of mental work in there, but also like a lot of resistive cable work and banded work. And then grip strength.
Yeah, because you're holding onto the paddle the whole time.
Yeah, and a lot of that will develop itself naturally. Like if you sat me in a kayak for 3 hours a day, I imagine my grip strength could get pretty good. But if they're going to be able to do things like hanging yourself off a pull-up bar, I think their weight, I think Eivind said that he weighs like 87.5 kilos. So the fact that he's bench pressing almost twice his body weight, and then he's also...
That's lighter than I was expecting. Yeah. But then I was like, he's run a sub 240 marathon.
And
so
6'6".
God, they're built for it.
Crazy.
So what's actually interesting is, and some people may have seen this is really niche as well, James Newbury, who's now my new favorite person to talk about.
Yeah.
He put up a series of reels with, I think it was 14 events, where he said, maybe he was saying, if I was to program the CrossFit Games, or if I was to try and find the fittest person in the world across all different disciplines, these are the 14 things I'd test. One of them was a full Hyrox. There were other strength metrics. There was some more athletic feats like cone agility drills. One of the things, I can't remember how far he said it was, but one of the exercises or one of the events would be a kayak, because that's something that so many people neglect in their training, is the rotation, let alone the coordination and the strength and the endurance, but just the ability to rotate enough to have an effective paddle. So I thought that was quite interesting, and it's so true. And the rotation and your ability to rotate is one of the most athletic things that you can do. That's why I constantly reference tennis players as the most athletic, or if there were certain elements to golf that made it a bit more fitnessy, the ability to rotate and hit a golf ball, like with the accuracy and the speed, like that is so athletic. Or throwing or punching, it's so athletic.
But there's so much of the training, not just from a strength perspective, that has to be a bit like you said, like accuracy in core rotation is a whole different strength and skill. For these guys, they can't neglect being on the water because they need, and quote, they need to feel.
Yeah.
Because you need to feel what the water's like to have the drag. You need to time your pull at the right time. You need to be so consistently accurate with your rotation that when you get the paddle in the water at the right point and you pull it at the right point, everything engages all in one. And so there's so much timing work as well as strength work. And that's why, even though they might be doing marathon efforts, a lot of that time, when you think about it, is how quickly you get off the line. And it's a bit of a sprint.
Yeah.
And so sprint is obviously to go from not moving at all,
or the exertion,
the speed that you require. The exertion there at the beginning of any race is insane. So that's why like sprinters are still actually, sprint kayakers are still very aerobically well trained, because they have to do enough time on the water to get the feel of the water and so they can sprint, that they are still pretty aerobically dominant compared to other sports that have sprinters. Whereas even the marathon guys, they can absolutely sprint because they have to still at the beginning of the race.
That's really interesting, because I was going to ask that question and be like, are these two brothers anomalies that they have such good range from sprint all the way to long distance, or is that just a characteristic of a kayaker? I mean, obviously they're some of the best in the world because they're winning medals, but is that just a characteristic of all kayakers?
Well, this is an interesting thing that we're seeing in other sports now, and other sports like high rocks, let's say, one that we're more familiar with is that at the moment we're starting to see other people coming into the space and really excel at the sport with a given skill set, but there's still no like separation between what is a good high rocks athlete and what's a bad high rocks athlete. And you could take you could do a half race distance and you would probably still see a similar level in that. If that was a separate event entirely, you'd probably still see a lot of the elite guys and girls
Be the same across both. Yeah.
And that's why we see that in the doubles version of the race. But I would say similar to that, even though it's a much older sport, kayaking probably still doesn't have the range in attention from athletes worldwide to really be able to notice a massive discrepancy between a sprint kayaker and a long distance kayaker. And so therefore, and I remember doing this when I was at school, when I was running, and in my head, I was like, I'm better at this long distance, which to be honest is still middle distance. But like we're talking 1.5K to 3.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at that, but I'd written myself off any of the shorter stuff. And I had my friend whose specialist distance was anything between 400 and 800. And he was as good, if not better than me, because all of his training still played into stuff. Whereas I never did any of the quick stuff, so I couldn't do that. And so I think it's at a similar point where that was within my school. But then when he went to county, he didn't even touch the sprint. He was average on both. I was below average on one. So I wonder if with kayaking being I don't want to call it a niche sport, because there are thousands, tens and hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions of people who are doing it competitively. But I don't know if there's the same deviation if you were to look at a sport like, I mean, team sport, but like football or anything that's slightly considered more normal. Golf is a great example because it's played worldwide and there's massive discrepancies between different tournament styles. So yeah, I don't know quite on that one, but it's very easy to understand why both have to be so good at kind of both of them because their training has to be so similar.
I think it's though also something we always come back to where you're talking about practice on the water, learning the technique. There definitely has to be a definitive split between I'm training as support to my sport and then I have to practice. So there's training and there's practice. And you're not going to get better at your sport if you don't practice it. In the same way when we spoke about that influencer on Instagram who was making reels about becoming a footballer. And like all he was doing was training, basically, whether that was strength stuff or just like continually kicking a ball against the wall. You're not putting yourself in the environment where it's like, now I'm actually playing the sport and learning and developing in the actual sporting environment. So it's interesting to see the parallels.
I've got an interesting thing to ask you, which I've just thought of, where in the UK, if you're, well, from my childhood, let's say, through the winter, you play rugby, you play football. In the summer, you play cricket or you do athletics. Neither of those particularly benefit each other so much. In rugby and football, free-flowing game, there's still running involved. But like, it doesn't necessarily train you particularly effectively for track and field or for cricket. Definitely not for cricket. But in a country like Norway, which has extremely strong seasons, where in the winter they would be skiing and doing Nordic skiing, which plays a massive, massive benefit into any form of running or other aerobic training. And then when it gets to summer and the tracks have defrosted, they can go out and they can do their track and I wonder if the lifestyle, the nature, the country that they have, the environment that they live in actually plays massive effect from a very, very young age.
It's like a predisposition.
Exactly. And I wonder if that is also part of it.
I'm sure that'd be a really interesting study to do. And it's like, there's lots of stories of kids like skiing to school and like their house isn't on a hill above the school. They don't just downhill ski. And even if they did, they'd have to go back up in the evening. So it's like at some point they are skiing to school and it's aerobic training. And like, that's just their mode of transport. They're not going out of their way to go, oh, I need to develop my low aerobic base. I'm going to ski to school for 45 minutes or whatever.
When you think about it, because I would say probably in this country, I'd go as far as say 70% of kids in like young kids that go to school are dropped by parents or get on a bus or some form of public
That's a
transport.
crazy stat that you've just plucked out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. But like in my head, that's a logical number.
Yeah.
A bit like 70%. But I would say
What's the other 30%? People running to school.
people walking to school that live close enough.
Oh, 5 hours.
Yeah. Like they and they would.
I run 20 miles to school.
Well, if you ask any parent in this country, apparently that's what they
Yeah.
do.
There's 1% who's kayaking to school.
Yeah. But I wonder and this would be part of that interesting study that will never get done, is what
Never say never.
Yeah, what the comparison would be to a country like Norway, because obviously they have public transport, but is there more of a culture of children finding a way to go to school that is actually more beneficial to their health than what we would typically do?
What we just need to do is we need to take Jacobin Gabrielsen and figure out how he went to school. And then we need to take Josh Kerr and find out how he got to school. Because if they did something very similar, it's like you find out Josh like cycled 30 minutes to school every day and Jacobin Gabrielsen skied 30 minutes to school every day. And they're two of the best middle distance runners currently. And it's like, but then if there's even more depth of field in the Norwegian middle distance running, there's lots of good depth in the UK. So it's like, you just need to figure out how those kids got to school, basically, and then you've unlocked the answer.
I think the key from a young age is to
Not
give your kid a bike
Yeah.
they can ride, but make them ride it to a relative that's closer to the school, and then make them run the rest of the way. So getting a good brick session.
bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning and afternoon.
Have a swim across the river.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, I think it's interesting to see how culture plays a massive effect. And I think that's why there's so many of these like Norwegian freaks. And for the fact that he could come onto this podcast and be like, yeah, your whole thing of there being 50 in the world is so wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know a lot of, and that, like he also said, that doesn't mean that Norway is just freaks. Like he works in an office now.
yeah.
He's completely erased.
It's this style of training, isn't it? Yeah.
But I mean, that kind of brings me to the end of a bit of a deep dive. I think it would be fair to say that for their training, if we were to give you like a week's program, which we haven't got from them, but again, looking back at Christian Blumenfeld's training with double threshold, triple days, it would be very similar in terms of most of the aerobic volume is going to be easy. And there's going to be 2 threshold sessions per day minimum, sometimes 3. There's going to be harder efforts, which are calculated to not roll into another hard effort the next day. But when you're doing a sport like kayaking, you're not going to be doing anything like crazy, heavy load. All of your heavy, hard days are probably actually coming from the strength training and the interval efforts.
Yeah.
But it would just be an even spread across the week to make it repeatable. But again, remembering like whatever your session is that you have done, to make sure that you are good for the next one later in the day or the next morning.
Yeah, I'd go, it's probably structured very similarly to how someone's training for running or a longer distance run. Again, the majority of your mileage is made up of easy running. And then the strength stuff that you're doing around it is just supporting your ability to stay healthy and then have good output on the sessions that are a bit quicker. So when you're doing your speed work or you're doing your tempo work, I'm sure it's very, very similar.
Big time. And I think the final thing that's interesting, which puts complete respect onto how well trained these guys are from a young age and what they develop through their teens and their 20s, is that to maintain such a ridiculous bench press, which in this country to get to, you would probably have to be training it 3-4 times a week, maybe, most people, to get even close to those numbers. Strength trains twice a week.
Yeah.
Just because he's able to maintain that with that.
There's like some residual strength.
Which is just insane.
But also like the fact that both of them are so good and they're brothers, you can't deny the genetic predisposition that they have. They're obviously big. They're obviously athletic. They probably have big lung capacity. They probably have big hearts. So like all of those things contribute. It's like, it's not coincidence, but also then this is the really interesting thing. How has their environment shaped them? It's like, what were their parents doing? Was their dad a kayaker? Or like, so there must be one genetic predisposition. They must have been brought into a family that was active and wanted to train. And then all the rest of it comes down to hard work and consistency.
And a little bit of talent.
Yeah. I mean, it must be.
And I mean,
But that's
also not do a
genetics.
discredit to the eldest brother. You're the eldest brother and you've got one of the most insane things arguably.
Oh yeah. We
didn't recognize.
We didn't even discuss that. Yeah.
So fair enough.
For another episode.
If you're still with us, the next thing that we're going to do is grind my gears. So things that have been annoying us or annoying some of our other listeners that they have let us know about, we're going to run through somewhat briefly, but we've both got
a little
story
story.
to go through.
I've actually got one. It's not written in, but it was sent to me, and the sending to me ground my gears.
Okay, go ahead.
When someone messages me, sometimes happens, and I think in their mind they're like, "Oh, this is such a nice thing to do. I'm going to message Charles." They go, "Listen to the MindSets podcast.
Great start.
It was actually very good."
Okay.
But what the actually? Why do you need the actually?
Yeah.
Why are you surprised?
They might be listening now, so I appreciate you. Thank you for that. That's a compliment. We'll take it.
Yeah, you're boosting numbers, but assume it's going to be good because it's freaking good. Don't come with the actually. Get rid of the actually. Edit that message.
That's AI. That's such an AI message.
Yeah.
What people actually?
Yeah. So it's just like, don't be surprised when we put out good content.
There you go. Well, I've got two that I'm going to run through quickly before we get into our stories. Top knots.
Ooh.
Saw a top knot this morning.
Are they coming back?
They never should have been anyway. They're gone. If you have a top knot, get gone.
Get gone.
The next one has been written in, but is valid, and I got reminded of this. Ted messaged it to say, in brackets, tennis, but balls that don't bounce that should.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than trying to bounce a ball that doesn't bounce.
Yeah, tennis ball especially. Yeah.
And actually, I don't know if I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Have you seen that with these World Cup football pitches? That's been going around in the news. So a lot of the teams, when the pitches were first laid, turned up to do warm-ups and were kicking the ball up and down. And in some places it bounced normally, in other places you just get bounce.
Classic.
Which is really...
Is that just based off what's underneath the turf?
Yeah, because it's this special turf that they've had to develop for the World Cup.
It's like you always see that video of Steph Curry warming up and he's like bouncing the ball, and to everyone else it looks, but this tile right here, that's you just sort that out. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's probably more icky to try and bounce a ball in front of other people and it doesn't bounce than chasing a ping pong ball.
Yeah, chasing a ping pong ball is so degrading.
Have you ever got a cheap ping pong ball and tried to bounce it and it actually just...
It's just like a stone. Yeah, it's not good, is it?
Worst of both worlds. Do you want to go with your story first?
I don't know if I necessarily want the world to know about it, but I've committed now, so I'm gonna. I eat a lot of pizza.
Great guy.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a grind. Maybe it's a grind my gear about myself. Other people can judge me. That's what this is for. When I order pizza, typically, and I'm not exclusive, but typically I will order from Pizza Pilgrims. It's close to me. It's good pizza. I like it. The service is consistent. Whatever. We have a relationship, me and Pizza Pilgrims. Now, there's two parts to this story. The first one, which is quite shocking to me, is, on Deliveroo, when you receive the order, it tells you how many orders you've placed with that restaurant. So if you're like a first-time customer, it'll be like first order, or it's like between 1 and 5 orders, and then between 1 and 10 orders. And then it slowly cranks up. And the more you order, the more specific the number becomes. So I know how many times I've ordered from Pizza Pilgrims. Now, I've only recently, this year, started ordering from Pizza Pilgrims. Okay. So it is Saturday night comes around. I order a pizza. It arrives. On the receipt, it says 26 orders from customer. I was like, that does sound like quite a lot. So then I order probably weekly. How many weeks have there been this year? How many weeks have there been this year?
Are we in week 26, 27?
27. And I've ordered 26 times. Isn't that fucking shocking?
That's really bad.
The worst part about it was for my to mark my 26th order with Pizza Pilgrims, I decided to try something new. Now, for those who know me personally and quite well, I don't do good with change. And I order, for probably the 25 last orders, I've ordered the same thing. I don't know what came over me, but it was the night before turf games, and I was like, I probably want some extra carbs.
No, wait, did you get the carbonara one?
No, worse. Worse.
Oh, no.
On the menu, Pizza Pilgrims had a World Cup special called the Americana. And it was hot dog, and chips on the pizza.
That's the worst thing I ever.
And I don't know what came over me when I saw it. I was like, that sounds unbelievable. That looks good. And I was like, I'm feeling a bit dangerous. I might try it, something different. Unaware that there was no tomato base, so it was just like
white
that.
pizza. That's a grind my gear in itself.
Yeah, and I'm not a white pizza kind of guy. And it arrived, and smashing those slices, I did it. I'm ashamed, to be honest with you. I got them down, didn't want to waste it. It wasn't good.
You must be so excited for Pizza 27.
Oh, cannot wait. I'm going to smash pizza.
Please tell me that you have got like Delivery Plus or something, if you've been ordering that regularly.
Yeah, I've got, is it Plus or Premium? Or yeah, where you don't pay for, yeah.
Thank God.
Come on.
There's no way
I'm
you're
no
waiting
rookie.
that long for cold pizza with hot dog on it.
But then also that reminded me then when you were like, that sounds horrible. Remember when Domino's did the burger pizza? Did you ever have that?
I never had it because I'm sensible.
Oh, fair.
Did you try it?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
It was all right. It wasn't great.
It's one of those things where I'd be like, yeah, this is...
I was at like a function where there were lots of pizzas ordered, like a proper fancy because there was Domino's. Yeah. I think it was just like the gym night. Right. And we ordered a load of Domino's, and as a residual order...
try it if it was...
Oh, I tried it. I'm not ordering it by itself. Yeah, come on, I'm a pepperoni passion kind of guy.
Pepperoni passion.
Don't judge my Domino's.
This is true age. You'll know if this is you, but... You go to
Mighty Meaty.
Margarita just is great.
Oh, shit.
If I'm ordering from like Domino's or something, I'm a pineapple guy. I'm sorry.
Really?
Pineapple ham.
Oh, it's going to ruffle some feathers.
But like, it shouldn't because it's just better.
I love a pineapple pizza. So, it's like watermelon in a salad.
Yeah. Sweet, savory.
Love it.
Does go, apparently, according to a thing that I watched when I was a lot younger, pizza and custard.
No.
This is a great dipping sauce pizza. And I can see that now because people put honey on pizza. I put honey on all my pizza.
Or like chips with a burger and a milkshake. You dunk the chips.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to do custard maybe for my 27th. Not birthday, for my 27th order. Yeah, my 27th order. In like 4 days' time.
Yeah. Sick.
No, we'll come here. You'll cook the pizzas.
We'll do it on a podcast.
And
that's a great. There's a domino down the corner.
The light bulb.
Oh my God.
Happened at the same time there. Domino's with custard sounds truly horrible.
All of our plans for the 100th episode is going to.
It's just this. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm actually so there for that. My story time.
Oh, we digress.
My most athletic feat of recent. So for those that aren't in the UK, you might not know. It's been pretty hot here. For those that are in the UK, been fucking terrible, hasn't it? So it got to a lovely temperature of 36 degrees Celsius here last week. And I preemptively, before everyone else in the UK thought about it, ordered an aircon unit.
Yeah.
From B&Q, went and picked it up, out of stock across the country. Just one of the portable tower ones. Get it home, delighted, plug it in, horrible noise, mechanical noise. There's no way that we can leave this on. It's going to explode.
Yeah.
It's chucking out cold air, but it's not nice. So I'm also so pissed off. I'm also really sweaty because I've been setting this thing up. I've carried it upstairs, all of that. And I was like, well, I'm going to give them a call. And they're like, do you want a replacement? It's like, how long for the replacement? Possibly 6 weeks. Just no, because they're all out of stock. Okay, great, cool. So no. Then I remember that Lidl has put in their leaflet magazine that the next day they are putting a slightly smaller one, but for half the price. I'm like, we've got to get it.
You love Lidl.
We've got to get it. We've got a dog. You might die. So I say this, and as a result, we're thinking this could be a Black Friday job.
Oh, yeah.
People are going to be queuing for this. Obviously, you don't know if that's the case because no one that's going to think about queuing is going to tell someone else that they think.
Yeah.
So we rock up to this Lidl, which opens at 7, at 6:30.
Oh, no.
We sit in the car, and I'm like, no one's coming. No one's coming. No one's coming. Someone turns up, and they're waiting, and we're like, ooh, okay, we'll get out. We're second in an eventual queue that becomes 25 odd people.
Wow.
And by this time, people are realizing they're rocking up 1:45. They've missed the boat. So they start swarming the door. So the queue system's gone out of the way, but also no one's talking to each other because no one wants to be like, are you getting the aircon? Because then everyone knows it's game on.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, what is more embarrassing than getting up at 6:30 for an aircon unit? What's more embarrassing than doing that?
I'm going to say they didn't have them in stock.
That would be embarrassing, but just generally embarrassing would be doing all of that and not getting one. So
they ran.
Preemptively, I said,
I'm going to run.
I'm sprinting. There's no way I'm doing all this and I'm not getting one. So this door opens and it's very civilized for about 0.8 meters. And then someone came in flip-flops. First of all, terrible decision.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You're done.
This is the Olympics. But also terrible because when they started running,
Everyone heard.
Right.
Yeah.
So by now, also there was a cheater in the game. In the front of Lidl, there's a flower section, and a woman was there for about 15 minutes pretending to choose flowers so she could go in first, and it didn't even work. So she just looked like an idiot. But we got her out of the way. I sprinted down to where I thought they were. They weren't there. The staff are looking at everyone like, what the fuck is everyone here for? I say aircon. The guy's like, there's 4. They're over there. I'm first there.
4.
Pulled it off. Got it home. We've had glorious aircon in our room. We've had...
Oh, I thought that story was going another way.
But flip-flop woman, nightmare. She gets over there. She's probably getting the last one. She absolutely
Stacks
slips,
it.
Stacks
Oh.
it. Nice enough that me and my partner both said, "Are you okay?" Response: "No."
Obviously not.
Guess what? She's got up super early in the morning. She's queued outside Lidl. She has sprinted. She's stacked it, and she's still not got it.
Oh.
Awful.
That's a tough day.
But just grinds my gears that
on her podcast, she's talking about how she didn't get it.
sure
Yeah,
she is.
Shame.
Yeah, I know. But like, it was just to grind my gear in general that I had to go through such a stressful thing at Lidl, and I have to live down that I actually did that. However, at least I got one. And I will never, ever be queuing up for anything at Lidl ever again.
But you did it for the cause of the fact that you have a big, fluffy black dog in 36-degree heat.
Exactly. And the irony about that is it lives in our room.
And he's not allowed upstairs.
He doesn't really go upstairs or anything. I took it into the office when I was doing some work, and then he was with me for the day. But yeah, small irony in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of the grind my gears, which means we've got one more thing to do.
Let's do it.
I've got the game. Now the game here, you can't even see
I know.
because I've just told you what it is. Now, we are both going to think of an athlete. And we have to guess each other's athlete using yes or no answers, yes or no questions, and you cannot use the same question someone else just asked. So you can wait around, you can't use the same
And you
question.
just keep going until...
Keep going until you get it. What we're going to do is we're going to put a cap. After 10 questions, you guess, and whoever's deemed
closest.
socially closest wins.
Wait, I'm gonna need some time because all of the athletes that come to mind, I always reference, and they're going to be so easy for you to...
They need to be fair.
So-
You can't think of an athlete that you met in Russia 3 years ago.
So we have some parameters.
Yeah.
If, for example, I had chosen Jamie George, rugby player,
Yeah.
and after all of these questions, you were like, is it Ellie Kildun? Because they both play rugby,
We would have this conversation.
Okay.
And I would say you are probably closer.
just based off what my guess was, but on...
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I need time.
You don't have a lot of time.
I don't have a lot of time, do I? I'm struggling already.
Okay.
I'm really struggling. Do they have to play current sport, or they could be like a...
I think they need to be still relevant in some sense. So
I'm gonna go
be
s-
retired, but they need to be relevant. It can't be someone that retired 10 years
You're
ago.
never getting who I've got in my head. Never.
Okay.
Let's go.
Right. Let me start first.
Okay.
Are they male?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a long-winded game, isn't it? You've asked, are they male? Now I can ask, are they female?
Correct.
But I couldn't ask, are they male?
Correct.
Can I ask, are they male, but phrase the question differently?
No. If it's the same question, it can't be asked.
Okay. Is your athlete a female?
No.
Okay.
Obviously, guys, if you're listening to this, play along, seeing if you can figure out who the athlete is.
Mine's so niche.
Does the sport that your male plays involve a ball?
No. Does your athlete play a team sport?
No.
No. Wait, we've got 10 questions, yeah?
We do. So
okay.
we're both 2 down.
Yeah.
Okay. Does your athlete
You're never getting it.
have British nationality?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't ask the same question.
Within a round.
Okay, cool. That was the loophole I was going for. Does your athlete compete internationally?
Yes.
Not a good question.
Is your athlete known for being in the top 3 at what they do internationally?
I'm going to have to give you a clue by how I phrase this. Internationally, no.
Okay. Thank you.
If that helps you. Yeah.
I'll give you a slightly up answer in return.
Does your athlete compete in motorsport?
No.
No.
Is your athlete a member of a team in their sport?
No.
Okay. Essentially, is it a team sport?
I already asked that.
In a different round.
Oh, I thought you meant the round was in like a set of 10 questions. No. But so I can't be...
Yeah. You can't just copy one.
Okay. Does your athlete play a sport that requires equipment? That's so like... niche. No. Okay, cool.
Would you say this athlete is aerobically well trained to be able to do their sport?
Very.
Okay.
Does your athlete do a sport that requires them to run around in circles?
No.
Oh.
There's
like millions of athletes.
Mm.
I don't even think the people listening or watching will know who I'm talking about.
We're getting through it. Not ball sport, male, not team. Well known in this country for being good at what they do, but not internationally.
Wait, no, caveat. They might be known internationally, but they weren't top 3 this year.
Okay.
Give the guy some credit.
Okay. Does their sport involve them being the fastest at what they do?
Good question. Yeah.
Okay.
Does the sport that your athlete play require them to compete for a duration longer than an hour?
No. Good question.
Okay. Well, my next one will be for a duration longer than 30 minutes.
Is this athlete, I think we've only got 3 questions left.
Yeah.
So is this athlete known or commonly seen in London?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Does your athlete get paid a lot of money?
I would say so.
Okay.
I would say in their career, yeah.
But is that relative to the sport they're playing or relative to sports?
I'd say both.
Okay, fine. I've got no idea.
Does your athlete rely on, or is your athlete's sport heavily impacted by weather?
I think they'd still compete, but it would impact the performance.
Okay.
I think you've gone golf. No equipment.
You've got 2 more questions. I've got 1 more.
Does your athlete sport, is the performance a time-based metric?
Yes.
Okay. Have we both gone for...
This would be interesting for you.
The same person?
Yeah.
You've definitely...
I don't think we have the same person based on the way that you've answered some of my questions. Does your athlete... This is my last question before I have to choose something. Is your athlete at or before their widely considered prime?
At.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Currently competing. I don't think, because then after golf I was like maybe athletics, but then they don't run around in circles. But could they still run without having to run in a circle?
I will. I know you've got 1 more question. I will tell you that running is not their sport.
Okay. Are they still competing?
No.
Ooh. Retired. Okay, I mean, that's helped me in zero way.
Okay, now we're going to have to guess. The thing that I have realized is that I don't think based off any of the questions I asked, I could rule out high rocks, which is a sudden realization.
You can rule out high rocks.
Okay, well, that was free.
I'm better than that.
Okay.
Because there's no way you get this person, even if I tell you what their sport is.
Oh, well, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's not ideal.
Well, I panicked when I had to choose someone, and then I realized that the person I've
There's a
chosen
chance
is...
I don't even know who this person is, isn't there?
I've definitely mentioned him on the podcast in the last 3 episodes, probably, maybe as part of the news. And there were 2 people that I referenced. One was probably more well-known, and then the person that I chose instead of them is even less well-known. But I think if you know the sport, you'd know them.
Oh, okay. I think this is possibly then a CrossFitter.
No.
Okay, well...
That would have been so good for
I'm
me.
just going to go ahead and guess an athlete, because that's the whole point. I'm going to give you one extra clue as well, because you've just given me a bunch that cool. Made sense. I'm going to say Josh Kerr. Your clue is that the athlete I'm thinking of has at least one world record.
At least.
That's actually a massive clue.
I think you're saying that because you're unsure if he has more than one, but he definitely has one. Because I can't remember all the questions that I was asking, because then I went swimming, because no equipment, individual, and world records. Doesn't use equipment. That threw me, and is retired. I'm going to say, but then did I ask if they were... I'm going to say Michael Phelps.
No.
I'm not even close, am I?
Adam Peaty.
Did I ask if they were international?
You did.
And that you said no?
I said no. They were British.
Oh, swimming was good.
So, who was yours?
Ben Patterson.
Yeah, I don't know. What do they do?
800-meter runner.
Oh, so
he's former British not British record holder, but he won British champs, and I think he well outperformed everyone's.
So who's closer? You with Michael Phelps or myself with Josh Kerr? I feel like you are closer with Michael Phelps.
No.
But you ignored one of your own questions to get there.
We've both been very humble here, because I think you're closer because you've got a British runner. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble if I say that Ben Patterson's also Scottish and Josh Kerr is also Scottish, but maybe Jake Whiteman and Josh Kerr are both Scottish, so they're both British. Josh is trying to break the world record over a mile. His background is 1,500 meter running. Ben runs 800 meters. The drop down from 15 to 800 is probably more frequent. Whereas, I've said, a swimmer. I'm pleased that I got a swimmer.
Yeah. We both got the sport.
Yeah.
Which is cool. At some point, I was not sure we were.
No.
I think what we should do is we should handshake on a tie.
A tie, fine.
However,
yep.
I think the listeners.
Yeah, they need
if
to.
Any of you guessed either of ours before
no way.
we did,
yeah.
You should put down who you guessed and when, and then based off that, we'll see who the winner is. So put that in the comments or send it to us at MindSets_podcast is the social platform. You can use that to find us on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so. It is still free. Spotify, you can follow us on there. We need more followers. We need more subscribers. So please do your bit. It actually goes so far. It's actually kind of wild how far it goes for us. So please do that. And then, like we said, grind my gears. There's plenty of opportunities to get involved there. If you want to reward yourself for doing a good thing, you can go to the High Star and High Socks website. You can use code MINDSET15 to get yourself 15% off any form of athletic wear on the High Star clothing website. So you've got half tights, you've got socks, you've got grip socks, which we don't go on about. We don't stop going on about because they're great. So go and have a bit of a peruse. Feel free to use the code. It gives us some love as well, but it also gives you guys 15% off. Like, share, tell your mum about us, tell your Norwegian kayaking friends about us, and yeah, anything else from you?
I've got nothing.
All right. In which case, we will see you in episode 96.